Have you ever looked at society and wondered why so many people are conditioned to believe in falsehoods, and in fact, they're encouraged to do so? And oftentimes, they are proud of their delusions. And when you look at the people that are in the truth, they have this presence of humbleness about them, and yet you can also sense that they are very powerful. Like they just have this powerful essence with them. Well, what I want to talk about today is how demons can actually watch you and have influence over you just as much as God if you are willing to be deluded. Now, if you are seeking wisdom and discernment on your path, there's no way that the power of God is going to be overridden by Satan. There's just not. Will you be challenged? 100%. Will you be cast into a desolation of the mind? Perhaps. But what you will not do is in your isolation ever be confined to the demonic energies of so many people that are not in isolation. A lot of the times, the old saying goes, misery loves company, right? Well, that's kind of the way the demonic spirits work. They don't like to be alone because when they're alone, they can't get energy. When you have the energy of God within you, you don't really need anything else. You have the source of creation within your spirit. And your spirit is valuable because you can grow naturally. Demonic spirits can't grow on their own. They have to take something from other people. And the devil loves when you don't want to try. Now, you can be in isolation and you can still have your season of isolation. But more than anything, the devil does not want you to try to be better. They want to, the demons, that is, that are under Satan, they want to influence you to sin. Because that's how they get their energy. That's how they get their own energetic transaction. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Who is it that lurks and who is it that is present in your life right now? Who has 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Who has an all or nothing attitude? Because the people that are all or nothing at least have spirit, have a presence. Are they perfect? Probably not. Do they have their own walls built up and around their heart? They might. Because, a lot of the chosen ones and a lot of the people that are of God have just been hurt so much in the past that they make the walk of the weight that they carry from the past and the grief look easy, but it's not. But the devil is the one that lurks. The devil is the one that has the foot 1 in and 1 foot out. Whereas God is always present. God is present in our lives, whether we really like it to be the case or not. And so we have to make certain decisions about what belief systems do we really want to follow, and why do we follow certain ones? And what kind of self-talk are we entertaining? And why are we entertaining that kind of self-talk? This is a channel about spiritual, personal, and emotional growth. And the secret ingredient to my message is the fact that what I'm telling you is coming straight from my heart. I don't have a script. I have a couple notes here and there sometimes about what I want to talk about as far as points I want to touch on, but for the most part, I'm an unscripted person, and I just go in with the topic and I move in the way that the Spirit wants me to move. And sometimes I'll say things that I don't even think about saying. Like, I wouldn't have even thought that I would say something like that about such a topic until I actually talk about it. And that seems to be going well so far. And it seems to be the case that a lot of people can resonate with that. And a lot of the times, that is just I would say the fortitude of the clairvoyancy and the stability of inner control that is propagating certain ideas. You won't get that kind of security or control over your emotions when you are not fleeing from sin. And as a reminder, sin is, if we were to put aside the religious terms, sin, demons, God, if we were to put aside these religious terms and think about it from a psychological or more scientific perspective, if you will, the fact that you have certain behaviors demonstrates to me or to anybody what kind of patterns of life are existing within your being and what kind of patterns are being pursued, and almost, it's not like a sense of complacency, but it's more a sense of repetitiveness. There's no change there. But why is it so hard to change when you have certain kind of demons that you want to address? Why is it so hard to do that? Well, it's difficult because change takes a great amount of bravery and courage. Bravery and courage is something that you get from the presence of God in your life. You don't get that from the demons. You don't get that from the devil. Now, you can get a lot of control from the devil. You can get the power to control, or the power to seduce, or the power to manipulate in certain ways. And it's not like I'm saying that God cannot be seductive, because I don't necessarily mean seductive in the sense of like luring you in for sexual pleasure. Absolutely not. It's more about a holistic seduction. It's more about a holistic frame of mind in regards to your spiritual growth. It's like, you know that something's not working in your life, and you know that there's a calling. In a sense, I would call that a seduction, or at least a persuasion. And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong to think about it like that. But it takes a certain kind of level of consciousness to recognize that God is persuading you and not manipulating you to go to a certain path. That's the difference. That's the difference. And so the reason that most people are convinced to be conditioned to believe falsehoods is that it is easily seductive. It's easily manipulative. And a lot of people that are easily manipulated or that manipulate have weak minds. And especially if you've been a victim, I don't like to use the term victim too much, but when it comes to narcissistic abuse, they've done studies on the psychology of people that have gone through emotional abuse, legitimate emotional abuse. It's just as worse as physical abuse because it completely disrupts your mind. It completely disrupts your cognitive functions. It's like you're being told that the cup of water that you're looking at is actually soda. And the narcissist will deny that this cup of water is soda, or the cup of water is actually water. And the narcissist will try to convince you that the cup of water is soda. That's how deluded they are. And they do this as a way to gaslight you and to make fun of you. And when you actually are thinking about it and you're like, oh, maybe it is soda, that's when they know that you're under their influence. They have control over you. But you're not seeing reality for what it is. And if you do not see reality for what it is, you're going to have a very difficult time navigating the world, and you're going to likely grow older with bitterment or with bitter resentment and a bitter sense of, I'm just kind of laughing at myself, the term bitterment, but but you're going to grow old with bitter resentment, and you're not going to be sure why all the time. All you know is that you feel as though that you don't have a sense of self anymore. And that's going to be very difficult to accept when you're older and you don't feel like you have a sense of self. Can you imagine? I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it in ex-family members that I've had. I say ex-family members because I don't really talk to them anymore. These certain family members and ex-friends that I had. And then the people that I knew in my life when I was younger, but I would look at them and their parents and think about like what they're doing. And they are just harboring their demons. They have skeletons in their closet. And they don't want to do anything about it. Why? Because they've been convinced that to be present is to be experiencing pain. And that's very true for a lot of the time. I think that's one of the reasons why going through the awakening process is so difficult, is because you realize how much pain you've neglected in yourself. But until you can process that pain and accept it for what it is, you're not going to be in the present moment. Because God is present. And yes, there can be pain in the present. But if you're just going to lurk in the present, you're never going to fully experience the present. And I think that would be a much less satisfying way to go about certain things and life in general. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And if anybody is looking for a consultation, please email me at regalchange@gmail.com. I appreciate everybody that's been giving me donations recently as well. and that have sent me emails with just thanking me and just showing their support and respect. I really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to continuing to build what we have going on here so that we all may thrive and live in a prosperous life. I foresee a lot of us in the meantime going through a lot of big changes. Now, we're always changing, but for some reason this summer, I have a sense that a lot of the chosen ones out there are going to be in trials, and yet they're going to experience the fruits of their labor by the end of those trials twofold. So with that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.